sleepyheads, get up, get up, get out of bed. Cheer up, the sun is red. Live, love, laugh and be happy. What if
Hello and welcome to the Robin Pod Weekly, which is of course powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. And we've got an old Robin Pod guest, someone who's not featured for a long time. Keith Pollard is our latest Robin Pod Weekly guest. Keith, how are you?
Good, mate. Good, thanks. Thanks for inviting me on. It's been a while.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure. Keith, are you enjoying watching Hull Kingston Rovers under Willie Peters at the moment?
Not particularly.
Oh dear.
No, you know me. I'm outspoken, and I have me comment. Everybody. I'm a dinosaur. I'm one of the oldest players left alive, I think. But no, I just don't like this modern rugby, and I think we could be playing better. But that's just my opinion. Everybody said, "Well, you're a dinosaur," and the game's changed, and this and that, the other. The game has changed, but I don't think it's changed for the better. It's great to be top of the league, or in the top three, but we'll talk about that later. But no, I can't say. I mean, I went last week, and it was boring. For the first half, it was boring. You know what I mean? I don't think we're playing to our best. That's my opinion.
Well, we're going to come on to obviously the Catalan game, and then we've got the derby on Saturday. Generally, though, what improvements do you think could be made to the side at the moment?
I think when Willie Peters first came, we was playing free-flowing football. Even the pundits were saying what a great style of rugby we was playing off the cuff. And then we've dropped back into the stereotype Australian bash, kick. And it's just boring. I mean, there was crap on the first half last week. It was, and then the tables turned. Come out second half. Why you left 𝗕𝗂𝗋𝗄𝗏 off, I don't know. We seemed lost. We seemed rudderless. And then when he came on, it kind of clicked. But there's players, I don't know, that they seem to be playing as if at times that they're not happy. They're not doing what they want to be doing. You know what I mean? We've got some good players in that side, really good players. But I don't know. I think I'm not criticising Willie because he has done some good things for the club. But it seems as if it's, how can I put it? I mean, I played in Australia for 6 years, and the prop forwards in Australia aren't allowed to pass the ball. And it seems to be that way now. It's just bang, 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 kick. And every now and again, Mikey does something different. And that's why he's in there, because he's a great player. He plays off the cuff, and Australians don't like that. It's all structures and processes, and we'll go game plans, and what a load of rubbish. It's rugby league. It's a ball handling sport, and we're not handling it. We're just going through the motions. People say, "Well, you don't know what you're talking about." Fair enough, but I go back with players like Roger Millwood, Harry Poole, Frank Foster, Bill Holiday, blokes that were great players, legends. And they use the word legend now and it's just a word, isn't it? Well, that's my opinion anyway. Go on, I'll let you have a word.
Keith, I mean, one thing, one of Rovers' problems for a good few years is that while we might have been able to score points, we conceded them far too easily. Now, I suppose part of Willie Peters coming in and having that focus on defence and having a rigid game plan is to stop, to not concede points.
I'll admit the defence is a lot better. But when you look at the scoreboard, it says goals, tries and points, not tackles missed, tackles made, yardage, right? You win a game by getting tries, goals and points. I don't care what you say about, yes, they are defensive, and it's still defensive. You've got to defend, there's no doubt about that, but you've got to score points as well. And you're not going to go... The Aussies, if they can win a game 2-0, they're quite happy. If they can kick a goal, they don't score, which is a good point. If nil's on the scoreboard, brilliant. Yeah, you've done a good job. But don't forget, you've got to get points on that board as well.
What would please you more, Keith? Winning 2-0 or winning 34-32?
Winning 34-32. Winning.
And I can tell you what,
there's an old saying that they used to say, winning's not everything, it's the only thing, right? And yeah, okay. I mean, Doug, I've been through it. I had 6 years of it. Defence. We once played a game and we won 60 points to 6. And funny enough, I got man of the match that day. I'd set up 5 tries, right? But they said your tackle count was about 6, I think, in the game. You know, I said, well, what was the top? He said, well, Penno, who was the captain coach, he did 10, and he was a fantastic defender. But I said, what do you want me to do? Tackle me own men? You know, we can spend a full program on this if you want to, but no, I'll go along. Yeah, the defence has improved, and I think a lot to do with that is the kid we got from Leeds, the second row, the Aussie. Can't think of his name. Who's the assistant coach? I think he's the defensive coach, and he's done a good job. Right, a good job.
Brett Delaney.
Yeah. I think he's a breath of fresh air to the club, really. But Willie Peters is an Australian coach, and he has his ideas, and they're all set in stone. It all comes from Wayne Bennett or Jack Gibson. Goes back to the percentage rugby, they call it. If you don't let them score, you'll win. But yeah, not for me.
You'd have been tearing your hair out on Saturday then, Keith, if you had some. Whitbread, 52 tackles he made. Yeah. Hadley, 48 tackles. Sue, 35 tackles. And that was on top of 55 missed tackles as well. But yeah, obviously getting through a lot of work in that middle. And if you look at the Catalan game, Keith,
we're not getting the what can you say? We're not gaining anything from it because the attack was rubbish. You know, we tackled well. All right, I'm not going to knock the tackling because you can't, because it's needed. But also, I'll go back again. You've got to score points, and we've missed out on times with silly mistakes, dropped balls, penalties given away, disciplines being bad. You know, but we're in the top 3. But are we a top 3 side when you think about it? I mean, the teams that beaten us have all come from the top 6: Salford, Warrington, Catalan twice, Warrington twice. They're all in the top 6. They've all beaten us. Now there's 5 teams, I think, in on 22 points or something like that. But then
the league table, Keith, is you've got Wigan clear on 26 points with a game in hand. You've got St Helens in 2nd, Warrington in 3rd, Rovers in 4th, and Salford in 5th, all on 22 points. And then that victory for Catalan put them on 20 points in 6th place.
Yeah, and you've got teams lower down that before the season started, there was tipped to be in the top 6, like Leeds, who are shocking at the minute, right? Huddersfield, they're up and down like a stripper's G-string. You never know what you're going to get from them. Lee, they're 9th. Castleford, they struggled at the beginning, but this Lingard's taken over. Danny Maguire's got there. And if they had consistent side, they'd be a threat. They'd be a threat, I think, would Cass. Oh, well, they're where they want to be, aren't they? And I think if them clubs that were supposed to be better, we might have struggled a bit. I know we beat them, but I think, I don't know, I'm the eternal pessimist, right? The cup's not always half full, it's half empty, you mean? And I think we could be doing better. I just don't like some of the things we play. I mean, I hated the way Tony Smith had us playing. And he's got rid of him as well. But Willie Peters, when he came, I remember going to a supporters RSG meeting, and he said he was bringing in a front rower, good feet, good hands, pretty quick. Kennedy. I thought Kennedy was a good forward, right? People said, "Oh, he's rubbish." He was the only forward that we had that really run onto the ball. When he took the ball, he ran onto it, and he could unload it because he had a good pair of hands. But he got rid of him, and he brought in Whitbread, who, is a workhorse, right? And this is what they like. The Australians like this defensive, bang, bang, bang. You know, I don't know. It's
to be fair, though, Keith, Kennedy did give away a few penalties, and if you look at who's leading the table in terms of penalties given away, Rhys Kennedy's given away the most in Super League already this season. So I think that was his big problem.
We're bringing in a bloke next year who will be giving penalties away like candy floss. If you think,
well, Kennedy, he's currently he's just been awarded a 4-game ban, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so,
I mean, all right. The game's changed. I mean, I got sent off 13 times in my career. That was my job. If I didn't get sent off once a year, I wasn't doing my job. But the game's changed.
Yeah, and Hargreaves is certainly going to be up against it next year with a changing the tackling rules changing. Yeah, but that's next season, and that's to come. Keith, if we look at Saturday, on the previous Robin pod last week's, we spoke about how Rovers have got the potential to challenge for that second spot. I think Wigan are clear favourites to win the league leaders shield.
We beat them at home. We beat them at our place, and then we learnt a lesson when we went there in that semi-final. How good we are, you mean? And Wigan, they're a defensive side, but they can play rugby and they've got pace. Going back to Peters again, he got rid of the only two players we had, Senior and what they call Ethan Ryan. He got rid of them, and we have no pace. That's one of the worst things, or the bad things about our squad at the minute. We've no pace.
But Keith, if you look at, I mean, no disrespect to Ethan Ryan and Senior, they might have had pace, but you look at who've come in to replace them.
Yeah, Joe Pages,
much higher calibre.
Yeah, but we're not using it.
Well, we're going to see on Saturday when we take on Hull, aren't we, in the derby. Hopefully, we're going to see plenty of points scored. I suppose, Keith, on Saturday, the biggest frustration was that the game was there to be won, and if we had won, it would put us into second place in the table, and it would give us a bit of a march on St Helens potentially. But Catalan, for whatever reason, are just our kryptonite, aren't they? We've only beaten them once in the last 13 games. And
the good thing to me was that Abdul didn't play that well. That was the thing I got out of the game, that we kept him reasonably quiet.
What did you make of Abdul's performance, Keith?
Well, I thought I didn't think he did a lot, to be honest.
Are you sad to see him go?
Yeah, because I know there's a good player in there. I mean, when he played for London Broncos under Danny Ward, he cut us to ribbons twice. In 2 games, he beat us on his own, really. And he is a good player, but he hasn't done it at Catalan, obviously. He's put that much weight on, he should be playing front row. But I don't know, there's something gone on there. And there's been all these rumours going about and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, he went to Catalan because he had reputedly had to get out of the country, or he had to get away. He's a bit of a deep thinker, I think, Jordan, and he had to get away. He had to get out of Hull. So what does he do? He goes to Catalan and comes back and signs for Hull FC. So what's this about? Well, he has to get out of Hull. You know, I don't know. I like the kid, and when Willie Peters first came, Jordan didn't play well under Tony Smith because Smith wouldn't let him play the way he wanted to play. This is what I got told. I actually spoke to Jordan after the first game. I think we beat Leeds, I think. And I was in the bar and he come in. I said to him, "You're playing with a smile on your face, son. All right." He said, "Yeah, look, great." He's told me, do what I want. And then all of a sudden, whatever's happened, he's got rid of him. I mean, and the other thing is, they've got rid of him and they're not getting out for him. And he's still under contract, apparently, if it's to 2027, and we're letting him go to Hull for now. Now, if that's so, that's another thing that I can't understand, and a lot of the supporters can't understand either. It's, I mean, I stand in the well. I don't sit with. I stand with the same blokes I've been standing with for years, and we all kind of think on the same tangent, if you like. And why is he going and getting out for him? They're putting the prices up for everything. It's a £5 a pound, and they're letting him go for now. You know.
I suppose though, the Keith, that what Willie Peters is rueful, isn't it? We've seen already. Once you fall sort of down the wayside, that is it.
I mean, you can't criticise him for what he's done, because we are all right. We've got in the top 3, and some of the when he first came, I thought we was brilliant. I thought what a fantastic, but to me, he's gone back in the Australian way, right? And it seems that this is I might be a bit not noted for saying this, but there seems to be a bit of a click now. The Australian club, you mean? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Do you think May's playing well as a standoff?
I think he's. Don't
tell me he tackles well, because he does. Right, that is his best.
He probably tackles so much. I mean, the positions he puts.
I mean, there's going back again. There's an old saying: your halfbacks, you have a ball player and a runner. All your great halfback pairings, you go back to Roger Millward and Steve Hartley. You go to Arthur Bunting and Roger Millward. You go to kids that played with Dennis, not Hartley, Hardesty and Epworth, a ball player and a runner. All you have pairings. Mikey Lewis is having to do everything. That's why it comes off, and he's absolutely knackered, for the want of a better word, because he's doing all the running about and the ball playing. May just seems to. You watch him when they're warming up. He's always behind them. He just doesn't look interested.
And but I think that's Keith. I think that is a bit of perception, because I've mentioned it on the Robin pod before about Tyrone May, and especially in the warm up, about how laid back he is. But I just think that is him as a person, and I think he's. It just seems
he seems to me to just pass the ball for the sake of it. And some of these long balls he sends out, God, gee, your heart's in your mouth when it leaves his hands, because you never know the bloke's going to get it or not, or the opposition. And yet, when he does run, I've watched him in particular, and people say to me, "Oh, you're biased." I say, I'm not biased at all. There's a good player in there. There's no. I talked to a kid from Penrith when he first started. They was expect him to be another, like the superstar they've got, because he was of that standard. He was a great player when he first started, and he does some great things. Like on Saturday, against Catalan, he took the ball once and he made a great break. So why don't he do it all the time? Why don't he do it all the time?
But I think sometimes that's easier said than isn't it? And you sometimes you have to give credit to the opposition for the way that they're able to shut down.
Not when he's just passing for the sake of passing it. He never draws the ball. Never draws a man, puts a bloke through a gap. It does it every now and again, but it's not there for that. It's not there for tackling. You don't employ a number 6 to be a tackler. Yes, he'll do his job, but I bet he don't go far off the top of the tackle count, I reckon. But he's not doing his job as a standoff. And Mikey Lewis is having to do both things. That's why he's run off his feet every game. He's not doing his fair share. If he's going to be the ball player, he wants to be checking and doing it, making blokes work, creating this, creating that. If he's not going to be a ball player, he wants to be a runner and let Mikey Lewis do it. Let Mikey Lewis be the creator. Because Mikey's got a good pair of hands. I mean, it's like the second rower, can't pronounce it.
Tanganoa.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of times Mikey Lewis has put him. One game, he took the ball, drew the man, popped the ball in, and he went through. And that's what they should be doing. It's a ball handling game. You run, you pass, you back up, you tackle. That's all there is to the game. It's not a science like they try to make it out to be. All these game plans and structures and this. It's a load of rubbish. We play on the same pitches we played on 60, 100 years ago. We play with the same ball, right? And it's more or less the same rules. Give or take a bit. And we just, I don't know. You know, I'm not here to criticise and rubbish Rovers, because to my club, all right, I'm in as a roader, and I used to be a supporter, but I got out of it. You know, I got out of it. I got better. But but some of the things nowadays, I mean, yeah, all right, I'm a dinosaur. One bloke said to me a few weeks ago, "Well, you only played half, you part-timers," and I said, "Oh, so it was all amateurs, was it?" "Yeah, you was." I said, "Oh, so Roger Millward, Harry Poole, what's the name places in the ground after, Bill Holiday, Frank Foster, Davy Elliott, Alan Bearwell, Johnny Moore, we was all amateurs, was we? We was all rubbish." Well, he never said anymore. And that's how people have got in now. All right, you're dinosaurs. You're you're past it, you're Sunday and you're doing out but moan. The game's not the same as it used to be and all that. Yes, I know I do that because I love the game. It's the greatest game in the world and we all know that. But I like to see it being played properly. I would love the likes of Roger Millward and Alan Barewell and all like that be their ages when they played now, playing for Rovers in this modern game with don't work for a living. You don't go to work. I used to play for Keighley. I used to travel 2 hours to get for training, 2 hours to get home, hour and a half training, twice a week, travel for before the M62 was built. That's how much I love the game. That's how much I put into the game. And I tell you what, and we beat Rovers twice while I was playing for them, which was quite pleasing. But the game's changed, and I know it's changed. But honestly, I believe that we could be doing better.
Yeah, and thankfully, Keith, well, ultimately it didn't lead to 2 points, but it was a real game of two halves against Catalan, wasn't it? I mean, poor first half. It's been 14-0 down after half time. Yeah. They rallied in the second.
It looked as if they'd been on the drink all week, first half. So there was nothing there, was there? And Catalan weren't much better, to be honest. And then second half, they went into a show. They didn't seem to perform because we did. We started playing, and to get 14 points back from 14-0 down was a good effort. Played some good rugby, but we should be doing.
You've been mentioning a lot about the props and the roles that they have. What have you made of George King and his performance on Saturday in particular? On the pitch for 18 minutes, 12 tackles, which I know you're being frustrated at, 3 carries, only 14 metres made. Yeah. Actually, no, I think it was 12 metres made. I mean, George King is a player who, over the last couple of seasons, has been our almost talisman, at prop, and he just seems to be way off it at the moment. And the fact he only did 18 minutes and there's been no mention of injury or anything to do with that makes you wonder whether he was hooked because Willie Peters wasn't happy with his contribution. Yeah,
well, I can't understand. Going back, it's another Willie Peters thing. He is, as you've just said, he's been our best forward since he's come here, and he's playing it looks as if he's not happy. You know, he's playing as if he's all right. He shouldn't do. He's out of order because he's getting paid. He's getting paid to do a job. But let's be honest: if you go to work and a lot of this goes back to no reserve team football, which is another thing that's a bone of contention with me. You've got players there that aren't getting games, training doing everything everybody else is doing, but not getting a game, even not a game in the reserves, right? So that they can go all season, which is another point I'll come on to. But it's playing as if you're not happy, and there's nothing worse than playing if you're not happy. I mean, he got left out, and he shouldn't have been left out. He was one of our better forwards. And it's doing your job. If you was doing your job and somebody's saying, do this, do that, and you know very well they're wrong, you're not happy, are you? You're not happy in your job. And that, to me, that's the trouble with him. And it needs to go. If he ain't going to perform, it needs to go. If he don't want to come to the party the way it's going, well, he has to go, and I'll be sorry to see him go because I think he's a good forward.
Yeah, nothing confirmed yet, but by all accounts, he'll be signing for Huddersfield Giants next season.
Yeah.
I think one thing, Keith, that Catalan managed to do really well in the first half, which didn't help our speed of plays, the way they controlled the ruck, and the stop Jez from getting any kind of speed from the hook and roll, which then obviously impacted Lewis and May's ability to do more with the ball, and I think that was something that we managed to overcome in the second half, which ultimately led to us, that fight back and leveling up with Catalan. Yeah,
I agree with you there. Yeah, I mean we've got 2 good hookers, haven't we? Without a doubt, when Parcell comes on, but the different games. I think Parcell's he's got more of a brain on him, and he reads the game a bit better than Jez. Jez is more spasmodic, and oops, I'm off, I'm going. You know, it's like St Helens. St Helens now at the minute are missing Roby badly, I mean, he was their engine room, the brains, everything, and they're missing him. And we're lucky we've got two hookers. If they're playing on top of the game, they take some stopping. And what worries me is what we're going to get if the Aussie kid leaves. If Parcell goes, well, he's going, isn't he? In the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a kid who was lined up to come in. 𝗕𝗂𝗱𝗴𝗲𝗁, they call the kid, I think, and he's never had a run. He's never even had a game, and they've let him go. And so whether this is another Willie don't like him, I don't know. But I went to Dewsbury the other week because I do a looking back thing on a Friday, and they invited this lass who runs it from Dewsbury, and we went to Dewsbury to watch the game. And this hooker was playing, and I said to this, I said, "Where's that hooker come from?" I said, "He's brilliant." So she said, "He's just come back from Rovers." I said, "Who is it?" She said, "That 𝗲𝗂𝗂𝗏𝗂𝗏. He was Championship Player of the Year last year, and you bought him, or you took him this year. You haven't played him, and he's come back to us, and he was outstanding, and I didn't even know him." Right?
You maybe want to get them glasses tested, Keith.
No, it's not my glasses. It was that I'd never ever seen him perform, and this goes back to your A team, doesn't it? Right? You know, they're not getting games. So how can somebody say he ain't good enough, or I don't, just because? Well, how can you say he's not good enough if he's not playing?
Yeah, by all accounts, Keith, I think obviously Reece did play Super League, didn't he, for London earlier on in the season? Yeah. And I don't think he was offered the opportunity to potentially go down on a season-long loan deal, and then for whatever reason,
it was the travelling. It was
rejected.
It was living down.
Yeah, I think once that was rejected for whatever reason, I think that was pretty much the nail in the coffin for him, which Willie Peters has ended up shipping him out to Dewsbury, and he won't play for Rovers again because, of course, he was only on a 1-year deal with a 1-year contract extension.
Why do they bring these kids in? Like that Wallace, AJ Wallace, they got him from Bradford. Obviously, he wasn't big enough when you saw the kid, when you saw him, second rower. So why do we bring him in? If they don't, you know, it can't do them any good. It's like bringing all these kids through the academy, building them up, giving them all the bull about, oh, you're a Super League player, blah, blah, blah. You're in the Super League club. And then half of them chuck it or get thrown out the game, aren't good enough. 1% they work on academy to bring players through. And the rest just go, just wiped. Sorry, lads, you're not good enough. And they chuck it. You might as well leave them. Oh, don't slap me on this one. Go on. That's another one that really gets up my nose. What the Super League's done to the amateur game everywhere, not just in O. But it's the whole system's wrong. Why don't this IMG? They should be pushing the fact that clubs should have reserve grade, proper reserve team competitions. Like we used to have. There was a Yorkshire Senior competition and the Lancashire Cup. You played every week. You knew you was going to be playing every week. You was match fit all the time. When the first team had injuries or you managed to get into the first team, you was ready to perform. They're bringing kids in now that haven't played for weeks and then expecting them to go and play a Super League game. The system's wrong. That's what should be being pushed by this IMG, not just the money part of it. And they'll say, oh, well, it costs money to run an A team. It costs money to run an under-19s and under-16s, and they've got an under-14s now. They're taking all these kids from the junior leagues, you know, and you can count on your hand. I think there's 8 clubs now, you know, amateur teams, where there used to be about 200 or 100 odd or whatever it was. Anyway, we're going off the subjects. Go on.
Keith, what you made of the Ben Reynolds situation?
Oh, no. Another one. another Willie Peters folly. I don't know. I mean, the kid we never had a goal kicker, right? Which is good. Mike is doing well now. He's obviously he's kicking well, but when he wasn't, when we never had a goal kicker, when they let Abdul go, and so he brings him in, right, from Featherstone. He played against us at Wembley. Goal kicker at Wembley, decent standoff, bit of pace, bit of niggling him. You know, he wasn't frightened to get stuck in. He plays him 20 minutes against London. He should have played the full game against London, right? Give me a rest, because I'll tell you what I think about where May play. Let's see what he can do. Right, gives him 20 minutes against London, right, and then he never played again. And then he ships him out to Hull. I don't know. It seems ridiculous to me that they bring a kid in like that and then treat him like that. And the word is, well, he didn't fit in. He wasn't part of what we want. Or what a load of. I don't know. Does he want good rugby players, or does he want lily white, yes sir, no sir men? I mean, I remember one day Colin Hutton saying something to Frank Foster. Now, Frank Foster would have eaten Rovers pack. He'd have played them on his own. And he said to Hutton, Hutton says to him, what do you think, Frank? He said, what I think, Frank, Colin, is you should start doing your job. And there might be one or two players that think the same about Willie Peters. I might be wrong, but there's things that he does. For me, it cost us Wembley by paying Mikey at full back. And people say, oh, no, he didn't. It was, what they call it, the Aussie kid didn't kick that ball into touch. And Snyder. I said, he got us there. How can you criticise him? He made one mistake. He didn't get he tried to go along with his kick to make it a bit easier. That was the only mistake that kid made all the time he was here. He got us to Wembley. If he'd have got that ball into touch, yes, it'd have been a drop goal, we'd have won it. But he didn't. But
they're the kind of margins, aren't they, Keith? And what I would say about the Ben Reynolds transfer is whether it should have happened in the first place, because it looks like a complete knee-jerk reaction at the time, and then by all accounts, the Robins paid a transfer fee to Featherstone to bring him over. He's then been shipped out to that lot on loan. Ironically, he was filmed singing Old Faithful after he thinks got a try or got a kick on Sunday. But then the mark of the man is he's quick out there, isn't he? I think he, by all accounts, left them in a bit of a lurch. They didn't expect him to be departing them either, and he's gone back to join Featherstone on a 18-month contract. So I think it's just, there's not a lot the club have got wrong at the moment. That is probably just one in hindsight that they did, and thankfully we've been able to put a full stop at the end of it.
I mean, I'm looking at it through Reynolds' eyes, if you like. It's brought from Featherstone, right? Yes, they paid a fee for him. He knows full well that they need a goal kicker. He's a goal kicker, right? He's watched May play, right? I've been at Rovers and I've watched players props, and I'm thinking to myself, well, why aren't I getting in? Why aren't I getting a go? He gets a go. He said, right, okay, Ben, you're in the first team this week against London. Great. You get 20 minutes, right? And then you wipe like a snotty ass, for the want of a better word. And then he's shipped out to Hull FC. Wouldn't you be a bit, I can't say what I'm going to want to say, but wouldn't you be annoyed? Wouldn't you think that, what am I being messed about for like this? And then I heard that he's been told that Hull don't want him next year anyway, right? So he said, up here, I'm off. So it's all right criticising the kid. It's his livelihood as well as his sport, right? He plays a lot of rugby league players don't just play for the money. A lot of them play because they like playing rugby, and that's what they want to be doing. It don't matter who you're playing for, what club you play. You want to be playing every week, going back to the reserve grade, there isn't one. So a lot of them don't, but they're sat there, they're training all week, and all right, you can criticise the players you're playing with, but you want to be the best. You want to think you're the best. You want positive thinking in your own head. You don't want to be, his head must have been in shreds. What are they doing with me, right? I was at Featherstone. He's a Featherstone kid. He's come back from Leigh. He was quite happy. And then Rovers, come and play for us. We need a stand-off. We need a goal kicker. So he goes. He gets 20 minutes. Don't play again. Then he's shipped out to Hull, playing with and he was playing. What I've seen of him, he was playing quite well. He's got a bit of pace. He can read a game. To me, he's a good stand-off. And he's just been. You're trying to say, Rovers have done well out of it. They've got a. Have they got money for him?
No, I don't think Rovers have done well out of it. They paid Featherstone a transfer fee to bring him. I think the whole
why
is
he doing it? Why is he doing it? The prop from Rovers was the swap for Jack Brown, right? They sent him. He was a bit player. Can't think of his name offhand. I've got it written down here somewhere. He's getting in Hull's first team, and the games I've seen on TV, he's played well. Jack Brown, who was a bit player, and I've known Jack since he was a kid. His dad played at East Low when I was coaching him. Jack's not big enough as a front rower. He's not big enough. He's about as big as me, and I'm not. Now you want to be 6'4" and 18 stone. He's 5'10" and about 13 and a half. So why did we swap him for what they call him?
𝗬𝗎𝗍𝗐.
Yeah. Why did we swap him, right? And Jack's now not doing now. He's not getting a game. So he's going to be cheesed off, isn't he?
Well, speaking of Jack Brown, Keith, and I think I might not know your answer to this already. Are you looking forward to the derby on Saturday?
Oh, well, yeah. If there's only 2 games you win a season, you've got to beat them, haven't you? But I'll tell you what, this Griggs has made a difference to him. I think he's a good coach. And the local derby, right, brings out the best in local kids. Now, they've got a few good, and I don't know why, they seem to get better players through their academy, local lads, than we always get, because they always seem to beat us. But they'll be up for it. We'll have to watch our mind. If we play like we did first half against Catalan, they'll get whooped at Hull. And Hull was rubbish, but they're starting to come back. And you talk about defence, their defence is good. They can tackle. And they've got some good young kids there. They really will be up for it. They have more local kids in the team than we have. And it'll make a difference. You believe me, it will make a difference.
Keith, their defence isn't good. They've been absolutely abysmal all season. And all they've done is the last, 5-6 games, made it more competitive. But, yeah, they're still shite, aren't they, basically?
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying they're not. But we're talking about the local derby, right? If you look at their team, how many we've got 2 local lads in the team if we're lucky. If we're lucky. And it does, Jono, believe me, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Yeah, it does make a difference, Keith, but all I would say is ability overrides.
Yeah. If you play like you should play. We didn't play like we should play against Catalan. What I'm saying is if we perform like that, we'll get beat. And
that's the point, isn't it? Which Rovers team's going to turn up on Saturday? The one who played the first half, or the one who plays the second?
It shouldn't be. Everybody should. If you're third in the league, I mean, I keep saying about this, that, but that's all I can say. When I played for Rovers, we had every player in the pack was an international, apart from me, right? Then we got Roger Millwood came, but that was just before I left. But when I played, we had 2 Great Britain captains and a madman in the back 3. Brian Tyson was a Great Britain prop. Flash was a Great Britain hooker. And Frank Fox was a Yorkshire county prop. And I got in for either Brian Tyson or Frank Fox. We had Arthur Bunting at scrum half, Alan Bearwell, Johnny Moore, Chris Young, Terry Major, Cyril Kelly. And we finished 14th in the league that year. We made the top 16 playoff. We finished 14th with that side. Now, if that side was their age now, they would be top of the league. But and we played for one another, everybody was good mates, like they should be now. But they're not performing. They're not playing the same sort of rugby. It was a different game, and I know I keep saying it, and that I'm a dinosaur, but I'm sure that the game was much better. So you had wingers scoring top try scorers, 80 tries in a season. Van Vollenhoven from St Helens, Billy Boston from Wigan. All the legends you can talk about. They're not legends because they played in them days. They're legends because there was great players. 80 tries in a season. Some of our players don't score 80 tries in their whole career. I know it's going through your mind. Oh, it was a different game, and I know it was. And I just wish that we would get away from this Australian attitude, this bang, bang, bang. And you see kids training, you know, under 11s, under 10s, and they're all doing the same thing. But because they watch Rovers play, they watch the professionals do it. It's a ball handling sport. Get them handling the ball. Use the ball, run for a gap. It's a lot easier to run through a gap. That's why they put doors in walls so you can run through the gap. Why run at a man? As soon as they get it, they run straight at somebody. Try him, knock him down. Go there, make him come and tackle you. It's, honestly, I keep going back to this Australian thing because in the 70s, the Australians was beating us. They came one tour and went through it in Indomitables or something they call them. They won every game. And all of a sudden, we thought, well, we've got to change the way they play, where we play. And they started bringing Australian coaches over, coaches that couldn't get gigs in Australia because there's only 14 top teams in Australia, and there wasn't even that then. It was all Sydney. And their coaches, that's how they coached, like the way they are now. When I went to Maitland, and first game I ever played, I was saying to blokes, come with me, and they was looking at me, so I was daft. Props don't pass the ball. What are you on about? Just run for the gap. And when I started doing it, and blokes knew they weren't going to get a dump, you know, I was taking the ball, putting the ball through a gap, and I was thinking, Jesus, this is easy. And that's how you play. Let the ball do the work. You taught when we was brought up, let the ball do the work. The first thing I went coaching kids, and I had one, I was all stood. I said, right, who's the quickest player in the squad? And they're all jumping up and down, me. I said, right. And I used to say to the kid who was coaching with us, I said, stand over there. I said, right, go and get this ball. And I passed the ball, and I said, what happened then? He said, well, you passed it too quick. I said, yeah, because the ball will do the work. The ball will beat you every time. So that's what you want to learn to do. Run for a gap, be there when the ball's there, and you won't get hammered. And we're just getting hammered now. Every player's they wonder why there's so many injuries. It's a car crash every tackle. We're 10 yards away, right? They're coming up and they're coming. So they should go back to the 5-yard rule and let them work to get the ball to create gaps. They used to call me the gap creator, and this is what May's supposed to be doing. He came and said he would be creating the gaps for Mikey Lewis. Well, he ain't doing it. He hasn't done it.
We've just been speaking about props, Keith. Sam Luckley, he misses out on Saturday. He's failed a HIA assessment, so he misses out in the derby. Oliver Gildart, great to see him back in training. He's in full training. As is Tom 𝗪𝗂𝗫. He didn't feature against the Catalan Dragons. He's back. What are you doing on Saturday, Keith? You going for Broadbent, Gildart, or 𝗪𝗂𝗫? Because it looks like 𝗪𝗂𝗀's nailed on to start on the opposite side. So it's one of them three. Who are you going for?
What, in the centre? Yeah. Gildart. I'd have Gildart and 𝗪𝗂𝗫 in before 𝗪𝗂𝗀𝗀𝗃. They'd
be your two starting centres, would they?
𝗪𝗂𝗫 and Gildart.
What have you made of 𝗪𝗂𝗃, Keith?
Don't think a lot to him. He's
not top try scorer this season.
I don't care. He's not playing like somebody who's played 17 Test matches. They brought him over as a fullback. That was a disaster. And honestly, I thought, to be fair, he's getting better. I thought he had a better game I thought he had a better game the week before. But I would still, I'd still have Gildart and 𝗪𝗂𝗫 in front of him. Gildart.
What are you going for on Saturday?
What, to win?
No, out of 𝗪𝗂𝗫, Gildart, or Broadbent.
Well, I would go for 𝗪𝗂𝗫 and Gildart.
Yeah, but Willie Peters in, is he? He's going to...
Yeah, well, you're asking me my opinion, or will I go for?
So does Broadbent keep his place in the team? Because I can't... Or do you reckon he'll bring Gildart or 𝗪𝗂𝗫? 𝗪𝗂𝗀's not going anywhere, is he? 𝗪𝗂𝗀's staying. He's in that team. So you're picking either Broadbent, Gildart, or 𝗪𝗂𝗫. 𝗪𝗂𝗫's been in and out of the side this season. Gildart obviously started there.
Yeah, here's one for you. Because you're on about your defence. And we was always weak on our right-hand side, weren't we? Before 𝗪𝗂𝗫 come. They brought him in because he's a good defensive centre. They're not expecting him to run 50 and 60 yards every game. But he has created a good defensive right-hand side, right? So why do you leave him out if you're a defensive coach? And you put 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏 in who can't tackle. 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏 shoots the line. He might have scored a lot of tries, but he's let a lot past him.
Yeah, but Keith, 1 minute you're going on about defence,
Yeah,
and how it's not important, and then the players who are scoring points or creating them points.
I'm only saying 𝗪𝗂𝗀𝗏𝗏 bring him in because that's his job. And the people have scored tries against us since he's been not playing. I just don't. If I've got a player in my squad who's played 17 times for New Zealand, I'm expecting more of him than what 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏 was giving us. Put it that way. And I don't care how many tries he scored. Most of them have been easy ones anyway. You're asking me opinion. I'm not going to say, oh, yes, you're right, Jono, because I don't think you're right. You asked me who would I play in the centres, and that's who I play. I've got to give a toss what you think or what Willie Peters thinks. You asked me a question, so I'm giving you an answer.
And I reckon 𝗂𝗂𝗀𝗏𝗏's going to play on Saturday.
Well, I'll say you're right. But you asked me who would I have in. People said, it's a good job you're not coaching Rovers. I said, well, fair enough. But don't ask me what I think. I'm not
any other changes you'd make to the side for Saturday?
Oh?
Any other changes that you'd make from the Catalan side to the gate team that's going to play on Saturday?
Oh no, I would still leave. Well, I would leave me out myself, like, but they again they won't, will they? Because we haven't.
What would you play Richardson instead?
Yeah, I put Richardson and Mikey Lewis at stand off. They brought Richardson in, another goal kicker, good player, came through the St Helens schemes, through the academies, played first team for St Helens, went to Castleford, had a bit of an injury, right? And he's a good scrum half. He's a good scrum half. Yeah, I'll put him at scrum half and put Mikey Lewis at stand off.
You expecting a close game on Saturday, Keith? Or do you reckon it'll be a repeat of the 40-0 or the first game?
I don't think they'll be as easy as the last two. No, but like I said earlier, there's going to be that element because it's a local derby. Local kids, I'll say it again. If you've got local kids playing for you, makes a difference. I once played in a local derby on Boulevard, and there wasn't a footprint in our half. Hull hadn't been in our half all the first half. Right, I was on the bench, and Gordon Young broke his hand, and I went on second half. And they had, I'm just trying to think how many. We had a few local kids in, but I'm just trying to think of the team. It's going back a long way. But anyway, we beat them. And it was only, I think we beat them 4-2 or something like that. Some daft score. But it makes a difference. I mean, as I say, I come off as a road, and I used to be Hull supporter. I used to stand in the old threepenny stand. And I made my debut in the A team in a local derby. And they were slagging hell out of me, you big fat gingerbread traitor and all this, you mean? And I loved it. You just loved playing in the local derby. It meant something to you. And I was a Rovers player then, so yeah, I wanted Rovers to win. And I want Rovers to win this week, even though I used to be Hull supporter. You know, over 60 years. 60 years I've been a Rovers fan or a Rovers player and supporter and what have you. So, you know, the black and white's kind of drained out of me. My dad didn't speak to me for 3 years when I started for Rovers. People don't realise what a local derby is. And to say about Wigan and St Helens and this, there's only one true local derby, and that's Hull and Rovers. And the reason it's a derby is because there's a river in between us. And that's how the derby came about. There's two villages in Oxfordshire in the 1800s that had this ball game where they and they came from two sides of the river, and they called it a derby. And only true local derbies have got a river in between them. It's like Hunslet and Leeds used to be a true local derby because the River Aire runs between the two parts of Leeds. And the
Willie Peters, Keith, he'll know not to set Hull lightly on Saturday, not least because of last season. He called the 16 points to 4 defeat at Craven Park probably the worst worst game of the season for him, even more so than the Challenge Cup final. Yeah. I mean, that was at a time when Rovers were playing well, and then that result just came out of nowhere. Yeah. And it was probably about the same time, I think, last season as around about now when this game is taking place. Yeah. So it is an important game. Crucially, though, Willie Peters is looking forward to it because of what happened against Catalan, and he knows that him and his side have got to put some things right, and this is the perfect opportunity to do it. Yeah,
yeah, without a doubt, it's right there. It's right there. I mean, you cannot imagine, even you don't know what's going through your mind as a player when you're playing a local derby. Honestly. And it's not just a game; it's a war. Right, you're going to war. I remember watching a documentary. It was on the British Lions rugby union, and the coach had his shirt in front of him, and the Kiwi was this Kiwi coach, and he was saying to the players, "This isn't a football." They called them Guernseys, didn't they? He says, "This isn't a football, Guernsey." He says, "This is your battle dress. You're going to war." You know, and the hairs on the back of your neck stood up when he said it. Do you mean? And I once used them words he's still under 18s. I said to him, we was playing, I think it was Skeller. I think it was Skeller we was playing, or Dockers. And I said, you're not, this isn't your football, this isn't your shirt, this is your battle dress, you're going to war. And one of the fathers said to me, I could see him all grow about 6 inches. And they went out and battered them. You know what I mean? And
I think, Keith, I am supremely confident that this whole Kingston Rovers side will batter Hull on Saturday. I think. Well,
I hope you're right, and I
think Hull are going to come out not looking for a fight, but looking to cause disruption, because this is their last chance of actually doing something this season.
Well, so I mean, they've got rid. Who does their recruitment? I do not know, and I do not care. But whoever brought that, 𝗂𝗂𝗡𝗏𝗂𝗀𝗏, the other one that's gone, the old
Neil Brown.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a good player, but never really performed. And this 𝗪𝗧, whoever his father must have stuttered when they registered him at birth. Whoever says he's a front row forward, I do not know. He makes a run about every. He'll make 3 or 4 runs a game, and that's all he does.
To be fair, though, Keith, you don't have to be that great to stand out in that side, do you?
No,
I mean,
no.
I think if you put a
couple of good player, to me, Danny Houghton, he always makes a difference. He's not going to be playing, right? And he makes a difference to that team. He's a bit like Roby was with St Helens. He's been there since he was, well, what's his 20th season or something he's been playing, whatever. But he makes a difference, but he's not playing. So there's nobody that's going to run the ruck for him, right? They haven't got a standoff because he's gone. Ben Reynolds, he's gone, so they haven't got a standoff. The one of the better players is struggling a bit. He's been having it. I can't think of the names offhand. The centre who'll come back, captain. He's a good player. Yeah, he's not playing well, you know. And they've got 2 young kids on the wings. The fullback's a good little player, young lad, but he's not really big enough. But he's playing well. That Truman, I've never rated anyway. So he'll be playing standoff. The only kid who was really gives 200% every game is the blonde bombshell, what they call him. Second rower, Brad Fash. He's the only old, and he's not. He's not a giant, but it gives you 200%. He's made a difference to him. There was double shit before he come back, but he puts a bit of steel into him if not else. But no, we should beat him. If we play like we can play, we should put 40 points up them. But if we don't, and they get in front, and that crowd starts singing the Old Faithful, and it lifts them a bit, we could struggle. It sounds daft, I know, but we could.
Yeah. You know. To be fair, Keith, I think it's more likely to hear their new favourite chant, which is "Boo." I think it's probably more likely to hear that on.
Yeah, and the Wigan walk, at about 20 minutes to go. Yeah. No, let's be fair. They're rubbish, and And that's why they're where they are, right? That's where they are. And they're not going to do any better next year. The players they're bringing in, they're all finished. They've all had it. And they're bringing Abdul in, and that Cuss, who's been at Wigan and who's at Salford. And the both of them are ball players. So who's going to do the running? Who's going to be? Cuss is the go-to man, as they call it, these modern day rugby, when he's with Salford. But Sneyd is the bloke that runs the game with Salford. That's why he gets man of the match every week. Whenever he plays, he gets man of the match because he's a good goal kicker. He's a better player under the Salford coach than he ever was with Hull, because all he did, he just walked about the pitch and kicked at Hull. And he's a good goal kicker. And he's a good field kicker, but he's playing better rugby at Salford. But then they've got that Cuss, and he's not getting in. So he's going to come to Hull, and they're going to have Abdul, who's the go-to man. So they're going to have 2 go-to men, and nobody's come off them 2. They're bringing in 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗏𝗂𝗧, who's over the hill. Got Truman, who, as I said, I don't rate anyway. The cast supporters say, "Oh, he can do this and do." Well, I've never seen him do well. I don't think not to him. And who else? Oh, they bring Oliver. What they call it? They've got him, haven't they? Or is it Oliver from
Twist?
Lee. Is it Lee? Is that Oliver?
Oliver Holmes.
Oliver Holmes. Yeah, they've signed him, haven't they? You're not going to say, "Oh, Jesus, I've signed him." All right, they've signed him. You know what I mean? So they're not going to be a threat next year. They're not a threat this year. I can't see them being any better next year.
Yeah. Well, that's all to come, isn't it, Keith? Of course, if you're heading to the derby on Saturday, make sure that you're loud and proud and get behind the Robins and cheer us on to another 2 points. This has been the Robin Pod Weekly, which is powered by Budget Tyres Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials, and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. A huge thanks to everybody who's tuned in to listen on the podcast and who's watching on YouTube. But for now, live, love, laugh and be happy.